Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be making a tote bag with ring handles. So to start off, I'm using my printed fabric and I also have some polycotton fabric. So the length is about 20 inches and the height is about 16 inches. I'm going to put the dimensions in the video. So I have my polycotton fabric. This is what I'm going to be using as the lining, and then I have my mini mat printed fabric. Then I also cut my interfacing. I'm using thick interfacing for this. You can also use any other kind of stiffener that you can find just to make your fabric nice and sturdy. You can also use baiting if you have baiting. Then I now went to iron the interfacing onto the fabric, mainly the printed fabric. If you want, you can also iron on some thin interfacing onto the lining fabric, but I didn't do that for this particular bag. After ironing interfacing onto the printed fabric, so what I would do is I would fold it in half like that just to get the center. And then I took my handles, then I just pinned it on the sides like that to make sure that it lays flat. Then I measured my handles, so that is the width. Then I now went on and then I just marked about 3 inches from that corner and about 3 inches on the other end. Then I took my handle, then I now used it to trace the shape, to trace that circular shape. Then I marked about half an inch from the line and I made this line dotted. I didn't make it a straight line just to have that difference. Then I now went on and I cut only on the dotted line because I need that half inch allowance to be there. Then I opened it up and then I now pinned it onto my lining fabric. Then I put pins all around. Then I now went on to stitch. And then I also did the same thing for the other piece. Then after stitching, I just went on to trim some fabric and then I now made those little slits to make sure that when I turn it inside out, everything will lay nice and flat. Then what you now do, since you now have 2 of these pieces, you've attached all your 4 pieces together, you now open them out like that. Then I took the other part and then I now lined up only the printed fabric. Then I put pins all around. So I went on and I sewed all around all 3 sides. There I'd sewed all 3 sides. Then I now went on to prep the corners and I just fold them like that. And then I mark 2 inches from that corner. And then I went on to stitch. After stitching, then I now cut away the corners. and that is the shape that I'll have. Then I now started to insert the handles. That is just how I do it. You just insert the handle onto the lining fabric and then you leave it there. Then you now take your lining pieces, then you align them and then you pin them. But on the lining now, make sure that you leave a space that is a little bit bigger than your handle. So if your handle is like 6 inches, leave about a 7-inch space. You need to make sure that this little space that we're not going to sew is enough for your handle to pass through. Then I now went on and I stitched all the other ends except that part. After stitching, I now went on and I prepped my corners the same way that I did with the printed fabric. Then I cut away the corners. Then I now started stuffing the lining inside of the bag. So you notice that now I have these like sides. The sides are open. Then I now started to pin the lining and the outside fabric together on the sides, just like as I'm doing in the video. Then I now went on to sew the sides. After sewing the sides now, I now use that little gap that we left. You remember that little gap that we left on the lining? We now use it to turn the fabric inside, to turn the bag inside out. Try to do this gently and try not to rip the corners. Try to do it gently but firmly. So after turning the bag inside out, you notice that your handles will come out like that, but then we still have that little space that we used to turn the bag inside out, so we just need to close that and go and sew it on the sewing machine. So at that point I'd already closed the gap. Then I took my bag to my ironing board and I started to iron out all the seams to make sure that it gives me the shape that I want. After ironing the bag, I now went on to top stitch the sides and also the handles. So to top stitch the handles, I used a zipper foot or this little piping foot. And that is how I top stitched the handles in place, and that is the bag. If you also want, you can also add inner pockets. That depends on you. I know this DIY is a little bit complicated, but I promise you, if you just try to slow the video down and try to watch what I'm doing step by step, you can do it. I'm also going to link in the video for where I learned how to sew this kind of bag. Maybe you might understand where I am coming from. Thank you so much for watching this video, you guys. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in my other videos. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I really appreciate your support, and don't skip the ads. Bye.